Hello everyone, I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Lions TV. Welcome to another 5 talking points video after our 4-0 win over Burnley yesterday. You guys, I'm going to be talking about a few stories today. I'm going to be talking about Barkley and Loftus-Cheek's performances recently. I'm going to be talking about whether we need Kovacic and whether we should sign him permanently. I'm going to be talking about Morata's new form and why he needs to thank Sarri for this. I'm going to be talking about Kante's low-key masterclass yesterday, and to top things off, I'm going to be talking about whether the team now has finally mastered Sarriball. But you guys, as you can see on the left beside me, make sure you help me by downloading the OneFootball app. It's in the link in the description below. Make sure you click on that if you do want to help me, because each download does get tracked. OneFootball is the perfect app to get lots of stats on lots of the Chelsea players. For example, you can see the stats of players like Loftus-Cheek and Barkley beside me. And this is where the OneFootball app is unique, because you're able to get information like this. It's a swipe away and all of it's in your phone, in your pocket. So you guys, make sure you do download the OneFootball app. But starting with the first talking point, because it does lead in nicely with the second talking point, and that's in regards to Loftus-Cheek and Barkley's recent form. Now, you guys, a lot of people do give me stick, and you know what? I've never really been that emotional about it, because no one's really been insulting. It's just been about disagreements of opinions. But I do like to keep strong to my words. And I've always said that, if a player isn't performing properly, I'm going to critique them and I'm going to talk about that. And I'm going to give you guys the reasons as to why they're not doing well and what they can do to get better. With Barkley's testament to hard work, and obviously hard work paying off as well. And I have no issues with the guy performing well. It's good to see, because at the end of the day, we want to try and win things this season. And if Barkley can continue his form, it's only going to help our cause throughout the season. Now, why are guys like Loftus-Cheek and Barkley performing well? Well, I think one of the main reasons is the fact that they are getting played, they are getting game time, and they have overcome any sport injuries that they were facing throughout the season. Things I've always been critiquing Barkley about, his inability to beat a press. He was constantly losing the ball, losing possession easily, losing possession in his own half, and he wasn't really affecting things in the final third because he was always looking for very safe and simple passes. But recently you can see a massive improvement in all of this, and it must come down to that confidence that he has. And this is the great thing about someone like Sarri, because he instills his self-belief and his confidence in all of his players. Because when you're playing for a club like Chelsea, players have their own desires to be the best players they can be. When the manager has that faith in you, it really gives you the platform to express yourself and reach those levels. But is Barkley going to get better than this? And to be honest, you guys, I don't even think we're seeing the best out of him. I still think that there's lots of opportunities for Barkley to actually, maybe take a bit more responsibility, express himself a bit more by carrying the ball, by running at people, because in a way, that was how Barkley did make his name. Do I think we'll see that? Of course, because the guy is playing with confidence. It looks like he has got more accustomed to the system and to a different type of football, and he has adapted. 3 goals and 3 assists. Some people might be saying, well, Nini, some of his assists have been pretty simple. But if you look at him during the first 3 months of the season and throughout pre-season, he wasn't even making simple passes or assists like that. So credit has to be given. And I think with Loftus-Cheek as well, he's another player that is benefiting from Sarri, and that's the great thing about someone like Sarri. And this is why he's the type of manager that Chelsea have always needed, because he works with what he has, he looks to improve, he helps the players get that confidence in themselves, and he uses the players in their best position. Ruben has been given that platform to express himself and show what he can do. And honestly, you guys, when you're seeing the form of Barkley and Ruben, these guys combined have scored 7 goals this month. And this leads on nicely to the second talking point for today's video, and that's in regards to Mateo Kovacic and whether we actually need to sign this guy permanently. Now, with Kovacic, he has a lot of great abilities, and he's really benefited the team a lot. I mean, number one, let's be honest, his defensive contribution is much better compared to guys like Ruben and Barkley. And when you see Kante dropping deep, really deep, supporting Azpilicueta, that's exactly what you see Kovacic doing down the left-hand sides. Now, you guys, when it comes to Kovacic and obviously his goal threat, I've been saying this before in videos as well, this was something that we shouldn't have really expected. I mean, he didn't score a single goal for Real Madrid last season. He's barely scored over the past few years. And in a way, I've always thought that Kovacic He plays better when he is that guy playing deeper in midfield, dictating the things, because, you know, he's very good defensively, very tactically aware, and he's got very good pass distribution as well. Does that mean that the guy can't play as a number 8 and he won't get better? Of course he will, but we can already see his instincts, his attacking instincts. How many times does he break into the box? How many times does he get that last man run on point? It's not very often. But what Kovacic does bring is that he does help us with our high pressing. He's very good at keeping the ball in the final third as well. We don't lose possession. He's good at breaking the lines, finding passes between the lines, turning, and obviously playing in the very tight areas as well. But it gets you thinking, is he really such a massive upgrade to guys like Loftus-Cheek and Ross Barkley? If we're being realistic, most likely not. In a sense, you know, Ross Barkley and Ruben Loftus-Cheek are pretty complementary, you know. Certain aspects that Ross Barkley doesn't have, Ruben does, and certain aspects that Ruben doesn't have, Ross Barkley does. And I think that, you know, when you've got these guys playing together in a squad, it makes a lot more sense, and it gets you thinking, you know, we have an opportunity to exercise the right to sign Kovacic permanently in the summer. I think that this whole Kovacic debacle is going to be very interesting as the season does go on, because we're forgetting, what if Real Madrid decide, you know what, we don't want to sell him, we want to keep him, the guys play fantastically well, we do need reinforcement for guys like Modric and Toni Kroos. The guy does understand Real Madrid, and let's say hypothetically Kante does decide to sign for Real Madrid. What if he says, you know what, I don't want to lose Kovacic, I want to bring this guy back to the Bernabeu? And this is why I've always stressed that Kovacic is great business, because we're getting a top class player for next to nothing. There's no strings tied to the guy, and it's like Kovacic has to audition for the season before we even decide to make it permanent. And if Ross and Ruben continue their form, is Kovacic really needed? Because I'm thinking realistically, there's no way we can keep 3 number 8s. To be honest, maybe I'm being a bit short-sighted. You know, we're forgetting the squad's going to be different for next season. What if Fabregas leaves? What if Drinkwater leaves? What if another midfield player leaves? Maybe it makes sense to keep Kovacic then, because realistically we're going to need 5 midfield players minimum for next season. But it also gets you thinking as well, you know, let's say we do sign Kovacic. He's going to cost us at least 40 to 50 million. Is it worth it when you've got guys like Loftus-Cheek and Barkley where they're showing that they have that goal threat and they can get the same type of assists as well? It's definitely an interesting dilemma to be in, and it's actually a great dilemma for Chelsea to be in as well. Now, I'm not going to be too short-sighted and say that, you know what, we don't need to sign him. The reason why I'm giving you guys all of these ideas is so you can make your own opinion by yourself. I think that so far, players are playing on top form, but let's see what happens a few months from now. I think realistically, once it gets past the Christmas periods, that's when we can really start to analyse whether we need to keep Kovacic or not. But so far, it's a very healthy environment for our midfield players, because they are getting the game time, they are able to express themselves and show what they can do, and it's great that they're all competing with themselves to try and get that number 1 spot. But you guys in the comment section below, give me your thoughts and opinions. Do you think we should still sign Kovacic, or do you think we should just let him go back to Real Madrid and stick with Ross and Ruben? Moving on to the third talking point, and that's in regards to Alvaro Morata. The guy has scored 3 goals in his past 4 games. Now, against Burnley, yes, he did miss quite a few chances, but it was great to see that he was getting in those areas. And yes, I know it does come across a bit patronising because I'm constantly saying this all the time, but to be honest, against Burnley, Hart made a lot of great, fantastic saves against him. And the great thing to see was the intelligent use of Morata's movement. And that's Morata's game. He likes to play on the shoulder of defenders. He's similar to guys like Torres. As I keep telling you guys, look at the goals he was scoring for Real Madrid. All of them came on the counter-attack. Most of his goals came from breaking the last line of defense. Now, I'm going to sound a bit pessimistic, but let's not forget reality. How often will we be able to create that same type of chance every single week? It's not realistic. And I still think it's worrying that, you know, you have to hope that Morata's on good form, because that's when he looks like a good player for us. But how often does that happen? One person that Morata has to thank is Maurizio Sarri, and Sarri knows how to manage a squad, and this is why players like him. And what Sarri did was he helped take Morata out of that limelight. He was getting criticised very heavily, but what Sarri decided to do was to start rotating a bit more. He started to slowly introduce Morata in the second half of games, where obviously there's more space to play in. so he can slowly rebuild his confidence. And Sarri just kept throwing positive reinforcement towards Morata anytime there were press conferences. Now when Morata is on form, he has shown that he is a player and he does have abilities. Let's not forget what he did during the first part of last season, but it's about whether he can maintain that. But I'll be honest, I'm seeing some positive things over the past few games, and as I'm always stressing with players like Azpilicueta as well, I think I'm going to give Morata another chance. I'm going to be a bit more patient with him to really see how he does develop over the next few weeks. Moving on to my fourth talking point, and that's in regards to N'Golo Kante, and it was actually pretty surprising during the past few weeks because there's been some interesting discussions in regards to Kante and whether he's playing in his best position. Now, I think a lot of you guys already know this because, we're geeks for football, but let's be serious, we're playing a Sarriball system, we encourage playing out from the back, we start a lot of attacks from deep, and also when we're trying to find openings so we can play those vertical passes, it requires us to pass the ball back and keep it around the back for a bit, and this is why you need guys like Jorginho at the base of midfield. So if you're using Kante there, that's not going to help us at all. Yeah, you might win a few tackles, but then we can't really play our game. And I have to say as well, it's completely disingenuous to Kante. The guy's a football player. I've always said this. When people really critique him, for me, I don't really think they're watching him that much. He showed what he can do, and while he is vital to the team over that win against Burnley, he helps us with our pressing. He doesn't lose the ball in the final third. And one key thing that Kante showed is that the guy can play that pre-assist. Now, for the first 2 goals we scored, all of them came from Kante quickly winning back possession and then passing it to another creative player, and he makes that right pass every time. And this is what Kante does, he really complements the teams he plays for, because in a way he is like the glue that does hold everyone together. When you're guys like Ross, Ruben and Kovacic and Jorginho, when you've got that defensive player that is a footballer that can win the ball back quickly and cleanly, and he can play the passes to you in the dangerous areas that they're in, that makes a massive difference. And that's how you're able to break down teams, and that's how you're able to really help complement your attacking players. Down that right hand side, he helps a lot as well with Azpilicueta. Azpi always has that passing outlet, because we do know that Azpi's another player that is a bit susceptible to losing the ball when he is pressed, when he is closed down. Kante helps with that. Kante is press resistant. No, not even how many times. When do you ever see the guy lose possession of the ball after being tackled? It doesn't happen. And he's another player that's only gonna get better, you guys. I've always said this all the time, but I'd love to see Kante transform himself into like a Michael Essien type of midfield player. I think he does have it in his locker, and I honestly think that as the season goes on, we're going to start to see more and more of Kante's game. And you guys, moving on to the final point for today's 5 talking points video, and that's in regards to whether the team are fully accustomed to Sarriball. Now, why am I saying that? This month, you guys, 7 goals have come from midfield players. We've started to score a lot more recently. Defensively, we're looking much better now. How many times do you see those individual mistakes that happen? Very rarely. And we played against a multitude of different teams with different tactics. And I think other than against Man United, where we did struggle at times to create anything, the players and the team have really picked up on things very quickly. And so far, there hasn't been a weakness that's been exploited by. And it's only looking like we're going to get better in the future. Not only have the midfielders been scoring, Morata's got himself 3 goals as well. We're rarely conceding counter-attacking chances. Whenever we have difficult spells in games, we overcome them quite quickly. And we've shown fluidity and balance in all areas of our game. Now, in my opinion, you guys, I think that the team, they're playing Sarriball, they know what they're doing, and I think the reason why some people might not agree is because they're thinking, you know what, we could score more goals, we could do this, we could do that, but you have to realize it's not as if Sarri has the right squad tailored to his image. Next season, we are going to invest in another striker, we're going to invest in wingers, and that's going to help unlock even more out of the team. But you guys, I think now is a great time where we can enjoy our football, we can go to games with enthusiasm, we can anticipate games every single week, and we have to thank Sarri for his great man management, his great tactical coaching, and the players for working very hard with guys like Ross, Ruben, Alonso and Jorginho. And honestly, you guys, this is a very, very exciting season. But that's going to be the end for today's video. Please like, comment and subscribe. I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Lines TV, signing out.